From Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast for women on leadership and life skills with Rhea Story. Rhea shares powerful life and leadership principles, helping you maximize your potential and become the woman God created you to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode on freedom of the mind. This really is one of the most powerful subjects, and I'm sure I've touched on it in previous episodes because this really is truly one of the topics that's just so close to my heart. Because I think all of it, no, I don't think, I know every single one of us have times in our life when we're feeling down for whatever reason, or when things are going poorly, things are going tough. Maybe you've lost your job or gotten laid off, or maybe you've gotten sick, or maybe you're just not having a good day or a good week or a good year. But freedom of the mind is something that exists for all of us, and it's really truly freedom, because it's the freedom to choose our internal circumstances. We can't control what happens around us all the time. We can't control some of the bad things that happen in life. Whether you're experiencing times of adversity or hardship, we can't control those things. Life is going to be hard at times. It's going to be challenging. But every single one of us have the gift of freedom within our own mind that says, no matter what's going on around me, I can have freedom inside myself to have joy, to have happiness. So, I love the quote by Vincent van Gogh that says, let's not forget that the little emotions are the great captains of our lives, and we obey them without realizing it. I've touched on this before. Our emotions are determined by the thoughts that we choose to think. And our emotions dictate how we feel and how we act and the choices that we make. And those contribute to the results that we get in life. You know, every single one of us have opportunities to choose to be positive or negative when things get bad. And it's the freedom to choose the positive when things are not going well that really helps us increase our influence with others. It's having that positive mindset when the world around you is tumbling to the ground, and still saying, hey, tomorrow has possibilities to be better. So, I'm reading a really good book. I'm just about done with it. A really good book called Touch the Top of the World, written by Erik Weihenmayer. And the thing that's really awesome about this story and his story is that he has climbed some of the world's most challenging mountains, and he just happens to be blind. So I really love the story he shares in his book about when he climbed Kilimanjaro. And he's talking about, how difficult it is to get to the top and all of the challenges that he faced and the team faced. And, it's a struggle anytime you try to climb some of these mountains, but particularly when you don't have one of your senses, and perhaps a pretty big one in these harsh environments. But he's talking about the moment that he actually got to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. And he gets to the very top, and he's sitting on the summit, and he asks his guide, because the guide tells him, you're now at the top of Uruhu Peak, the highest point in Africa. And he asks the guide, he says, well, what does Uruhu mean? And the guide says, it means freedom. And I'll share with you what Erik says in his book, because it's a pretty profound quote and understanding, I think. He says, freedom. It's a word I didn't really understand. Freedom from what? Freedom from the limits of my body? Freedom from pain or disappointment? What does that mean? I wanted to believe that by standing atop mountains around the world, I was achieving this kind of freedom, or at least coming close. But when standing in these high places, the immense power of the mountains only served to magnify my own fragility, my own human needs for help, for food, and for help from my teammates. And then it came to me, the thought coming slowly alive and charging my oxygen-starved brain. It was the freedom to make of my life what I wanted it to be, or at least the freedom to try, and perhaps even to fail sometimes in the trying. The goal is to reach for it and strive for it, knowing that sometimes freedom itself is unattainable, but the importance is in reaching out and in the impossibility of it all. And reaching out through impossibility, my body planted heavily on the earth, my spirit could soar and coming impossibly close to the goal through that way. Standing on top of Kilimanjaro, I hugged the guide and I reached out and I touched the sign. I didn't know whether it would be possible to breathe in all I wanted from my life, but I knew that I would try. And I love that story. This is the story of someone who's faced just incredible challenges physically and mentally and emotionally to do some of the most difficult and demanding activities in the world, climbing to the top of these mountains. And he gets to the top and he realizes that freedom is the state of his mind and saying, I can reach for whatever I want in my life, the freedom to make my life whatever I want it to be. And I think a lot of us feel stuck at times. We feel stuck in a job that isn't satisfying, or maybe we feel unsatisfied with some of the choices we've made and we feel stuck. And really, it's the realization that regardless of where our body is planted firmly on the earth, our freedom is in the freedom of the spirit to soar. And that's a choice that we make. William Arthur Ward talks about nothing limits achievement like small thinking, and nothing expands possibilities like unleashed imagination. It is the unleashed imagination that gives us the hope for the future. So if you're feeling stuck in life right now, or you're just feeling down, or maybe you're just not happy with some of the choices that you've made that have given you the results and the feelings and emotions that you've gotten, there's always the freedom at any point in life to change and say, I want to redirect the course. I want to change the course of my life. It's always possible. I can remember, many years ago, I can just remember just being so depressed and drained emotionally from the physical and sexual abuse I was experiencing by my father. And just, at sometimes life was almost not worth living. And I thought about ending it. But I'm living proof today that we all can choose to have a better path. And it starts with freedom in the mind. It starts with freedom in our head to say, I'm going to look forward tomorrow and cling to the promise of hope. We all have that. I often say from the stage, you can look for the bad things or you can look for the good things, but you're absolutely going to find what you're looking for. We absolutely find what we're looking for. Every situation presents either a challenge or an opportunity, and it's how we choose to see it that dictates how we feel about it. Will it drag us down, or will we learn to rise above it? It's almost like life is like a big ocean and we're swimming in it. And sometimes some big waves will come along and, try to swamp you and crash over your head. And it's always a challenge to just kick a little harder and rise to the top, or let the waves pull you down. And I think about that because every single day it's a challenge, and it's a choice to get up and say, today I'm going to be positive. Today I'm going to be happy. Today I'm going to choose joy. Choosing joy is always an option, and I love that, because now I'll tell you, I'm the first person to tell you I don't always get it right. It's a battle that we fight every single day, and I know that. But every single time we do, and we choose wisely, and we choose a right mindset, it gets a little easier. It gets a little easier, I promise. It's a mind muscle, and we have to exercise that freedom and free will just as much as we have to exercise our physical muscles in order to get stronger. So I just want to leave you with that. It absolutely is a choice that we make. And I think I was reading through Erik's book, and I'm like, man, there are just some really wonderful quotes to think about. And I'll leave you with the last one that I have marked from his book. There are moments in our lives when we can move forward in small increments, increasing the challenge bit by bit. But there are other times when security is merely an illusion, and we must summon up our courage and gather up our past skill and proceed by the power of sheer faith. And I love that. So we'll end on that note. Sometimes it is about charging forward and just on sheer faith and saying, God, I know you don't cause the pain in life, but you absolutely can use it. And I'm just going to trust that you can use this. Take care. Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.